Good day, strategy gamers, and welcome back to episode 23 of our Let's Play series War in the East 2 1941 campaign as the Soviets. In this episode, we're going to be going through the first half of our ground movement phase of turn 11. A lot happened in the previous episode during the Germans' resolution and ground combat phase. We now find ourselves facing difficult situations around Leningrad, around Smolensk, and around the Dnieper River in the south by the Crimea. So they've had breakthroughs in multiple areas that now we have to respond to. We had a couple good turns there where they weren't making the progress that we would have expected from them, but last turn they had a really good one. So now we have to make sure we try to counteract that and see what type of defense we can put together here. And the very first thing that we got going on is Leningrad and its defense. And they did have a number of attacks, as you can see in the previous turn. And I was very surprised by this. Instead of making a straight northern push to Lake Ladoga here, what they actually did was they pushed directly towards Leningrad, which was very surprising to me. And they almost had enough luck that they broke through, which would have been horrendous for us because they could have very easily captured Leningrad without even having to cut it off, which is a scary prospect to me. So what we're going to be doing now is taking a look at kind of this front line and how can we best reinforce it to make sure that it's a kind of perimeter that they just aren't capable of breaching. And then that might come at the cost of some of these forces we had put more to the west, or excuse me, to the east, to try to defend that north-south route to Lake Ladoga, which would cut off Leningrad from these sources of supply. To take a look at some of these battles here, we'll start kind of left to right. Just going through and scouting us, they lost a number of men. Then we see they lost another 260, and then another 868. So they lost about almost 2,000 men just in those operations in that one hex, but we also lost about 1,000. You see we even lost 14 armor in that latest attack. Looking over to the right here, I mean, this is a hex that is bordering Leningrad, which was very scary. They were attacking there, and really we had a pretty easy job of holding them off, and I think a lot of that is contributing to the fact of our fortification level being at 3. Makes it very difficult for an attacker to break through. And you can see too that their leaders were of a good enough quality that they stopped their men before casualties got too high, stopping them at 625 yards. Over here, they actually attacked 5 times, and this really was kind of, I think, the primary thrust, if I'm remembering correctly, here in the hex to the right of it. You see, we lost 1,200 men in their first attack. Then we lost none. They lost a number, including 3 armor. This one was, again, pretty even. They attacked again and again, but we managed to hold through each time, which was very good news. To the right, things got a little scarier because our defensive value was not as high there. And total of 4 attacks, 700 men. We lost 855 in this one. Third one was pretty simple, and the fourth one pretty simple as well. But just really was surprised by the energy they put towards that, going directly towards Leningrad. Look over here to the right, we only had this one scouting action that was kind of in that north-south route to Lake Ladoga. And that was really the bulk of it. We also saw, while we're in the battle recap phase, we'll look at this south of Lake Ilmen. They actually did manage to finally push through this hex. They hadn't really tried too hard, to be fair to them. So first attack wasn't successful, second wasn't either, but the third they did manage to finally break through. We lost our fortification level, which ultimately meant we didn't have enough defensive odds to hold it with the 73rd Rifle Division. Which we expected to happen, which is why we had this other layer of defense behind them even. And this is much more defensible terrain that we're now in. We have a river between us and them. But one of the reasons we wanted to keep that hex was being a city, it was kind of a good source of supply, and it was a good buffer right before we got to this river. To the south, they also attacked, just a scouting operation, nothing too big there. Here, 2 attack attempts. They weren't able to break through, but we did lose 180 men in the second one, which was a little surprising because we had lost nothing. I'm assuming it was probably losses to their artillery at such a range that really we couldn't counteract it. And then we see here, a little further down south, nothing too much happening. Now, when we hop back up here towards Leningrad, what we have to do is really, I think, reevaluate the entire front line that we have here of defenses and make sure we're in a position where they simply cannot break through. Even if it means we have to take units from over here. So I think one of the first things we can try to address is we have a number of hexes that are bordering or lead to Leningrad where we only have 2 units in that hex, and we can certainly try to up that a little. So I think the first is to try to get units into those hexes where we only have 2 presently. Then I think the second thing that we can really try to address is some of these hexes where we have, say, 3 right now. We have like this 1st Naval Infantry unit that is in an unready state. So it's best just to take them off the line. They're only contributing 1 at most defensive value. Looks like 1.5 to the equation. It would be better to instead have, say, this full strength unit, which is going to end up contributing something like 15 defensive value or something like that, because of their current complement supplies, etc. So those are the types of things we're going to look at doing. We'll start over here on the left, and here we see we just have these 2 units, and one is in refit status, but I bet by now it's okay. Yeah, we can take them off refit, that's not a problem. But we only have those 2 units there, right? And I think what we want to try to do is get another rifle division there, because at fortification level 2, they're a little bit more vulnerable. So what I'm thinking about doing is taking this rifle division from the fort here and moving them over. But that's 35 out of the 62 defensive value we have there, so maybe not. Maybe that's going to be a little bit too much. Can we instead bring up, say, this naval infantry unit, which is to Stavka, which we should change that real quick over here. Toss them in the 8th Army. No, that was a bad decision. We don't want them in the 8th Army. 8th Army looks like it's split all over. But right now they're contributing 5 defensive value to this hex, and it's a fortification level of 3. So this is fortification level of 2, so it's not even going to be that high. So maybe we have to pilfer from over here. So these are both 2s. Yeah, I'm going to take this naval infantry unit and move them over here. So that gets us up to 19. I'll set these guys to reserve to try to help out. And now we need to desperately bring something down here south, right? Which is fair enough. Back here we do have that Leningrad militia. I think I might bring them forward. That did not do nearly enough. I don't think I want to stick with that decision, so I'm going to take them out. You're unready. I'm going to set you to refit. Bring you down here. Maybe this militia can come up. They're yeah, 8 defensive value there. It should be the exact same here. Really want something even more than that, but I just don't have anything available. Yeah, so we'll bring up that Leningrad militia. It gets us up to 19. They incurred some fatigue doing all that marching and such, which I think then decreased their defensive value. So we'll have that. And then down here we have 39. So that tank division's pretty nice that we have that there. And this is fortification level 3, which really contributes a lot to our situation. So I think I'll bring down this Leningrad militia. We'll assign them to, yeah, Neva Ops group. There we go. So that's 47 now. Over here we have 39. We want to get that up as well. Let's take this naval infantry unit and bring them down. Gets us up to 51. So this is clearly the weak point that we got in the line right now. So that's a concern. Let's see, looking over here, 51, 11. So this guy is unready, so we want to take him out, put him back here, set him to refit. Actually, that militia, I'm going to put them here. So the reason I'm doing this is fortification levels actually decay over time, and with weather too, by the way. If you have bad enough weather, that can help increase the decay of fortification levels. But if we have units in this hex, they're going to maintain those fortifications. So for example, we're going to have troops sitting in the foxholes that were already built. We're going to have troops sitting there making sure that those are all cornered out and that they're in good condition. Even if the military unit itself is in a refit status or an unready status, it's still 4,000 men that can contribute to the maintenance of those fortification levels. So that's why we're going to keep those guys there, even if it means it might delay the rate at which these guys refit. And by the way, look at that. They're at 0% of ammo supply. 0% of ammo supply. That is a scary thing. Over here, right now we just have this guy who's sitting at 10. We're going to take this naval infantry down. Get some up to 15. I wish I could be even higher than that. How can I get higher than that? I could take this rifle division here and move it over, I suppose. Yeah, let's do that. We're going to take the rifle division that's here, move them over. So that gets us to 21. We're at 10 here now. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take one of these rifle divisions, probably this one that has the 10,000 men, and I'm going to bring them down here. There we go. So 51, 21, 18, 22. There's some pretty respectable numbers. And on the surface, I don't see that they have anything that can break through here right now. Again, there may be plenty of stuff that's behind the scenes, but I don't see a single hex where, from what I can tell, they have a 2-to-1 advantage. Yeah, they don't even have a 2-to-1 on any of these. You add to that contributing factors such as the fortification levels that our troops have, as well as the fact that it would seem that they are on low supply. Let's actually change this soft factor here, because what I want to look at is fuel. Yeah, so a lot of these mechanized and motorized units, look at how their supply situation for fuel is. We can do the same for ammunition. They're actually good on ammo, but general supplies, they're in kind of a low supply status right now, so that should be to our benefit. Now back here, again, I think what we're going to do is we don't know that we need split out like this. So what I'm going to do is move you down here, you down here. We're going to dig into that hex. It's only light woods, but we're going to dig into it. And then I'm going to take these two units. And they're both in refit, but I'm going to set them where those other ones were. So that way, even if they do push these guys back, we still have a line of defense and we can keep building up these fortification levels that are here. This is probably the weakest point in our line right now. But since they focus so much on going north here, I don't know, and we saw their fuel situation, I don't know that they're even going to have the fuel, much less that they'll want to expend the fuel to go kind of off-road through the swamp terrain towards Lake Ladoga. I think right now the path that they have chosen is, hey, let's push straight towards Leningrad. And I think that really works to our favor then, because they're going to be a lot less enticed to go north here. This guy's on reserve, and I'm tempted to bring him back here to this hex in case they do break through. I think it just makes a little more sense. Yeah, so we're going to put him there. And then there's an off chance he can help. He can be within range to help a little bit more there to the west too. So there's all of that. We've got all of our HQ units up here. Yep, got it. Okay. We want to do anything with these two. I think we keep them on reserve, honestly. Yeah, we're going to keep them on reserve status. Good. Good, you're good. Now looking down here, this is all going to have to stay pretty much the same. You're on a refit status is what we need you on. You're on refit 2. You still need to be is the question. Yeah, you might be okay. So what if we change you to ready? We move you up here. And then the guy that we do have on refit, we just take back 1 here to the HQ. It leaves us a little vulnerable here, but I don't anticipate them making a strong push in this sector of the map. Also, I think we can extract out this unit. I think we will. I think I'm going to put him right here. I'm going to set him on reserve status to try to help out with anywhere they may try to break through. Here we have you on unready. Going to send you north here to help with the building of fortification levels. We'll have your men help with the fortifications there. And it balances a little bit more the strength of our defenses, I think. Down to the south, you were actually the unit, I think. Yeah, the 73rd Rifle Division was the one that was down here defending that hex. I think I am going to reposition you north. I think I'll set you here on reserve. Okay. That's the northwest front. They're fine there. Some units that are a little ways away from their HQ here. But you're doing a good job defending that line, so I think I'm going to keep you there for now. This guy's a little out there, but we're going to hold him because he's in a good defensive position, and we don't really, at the moment, have the threat of being surrounded. They would really have to push through in both of these hexes, which I think is a little unlikely given their recent history here, and this just isn't a very important area of the front for the German player to contribute offensive resources to. So I think we're doing pretty okay, pretty safe here. That guy's probably the one that worries me a little. Same down here. Oh, and you're unready. My goodness. But I think we just have to hold you there, though, even though you are unready. Down here. Okay. Yeah, I think we're going to hold all of this stuff. Have that tank division that's on refit. Do they still need to be? Yeah, they have 0 medium tanks. They have 20 heavy tanks. Yeah, they have full cavalry tanks. But I think we'll leave them on refit, and honestly, I wish they had more range. I want to bring them down here to help with the Smolensk pocket. But I think instead what I'm going to do is use them up here. You are a ways away from your HQ. So these two guys, let's see if we can't reassign you. I'm going to put you to the 48th Army. Same thing with you, 48th Army. Do we have other units that are stranded like that? Yeah, it looks like we have a few down here. So we can tackle those real quick. 11th Army's fine for you. You guys need to switch to. Toss you both in the 11th Army. There we go. I think that was all of them. Oh, no, one more. Alright, the 11th Army now is a decent size. So I think all along here, we're in a really good position and we're just going to hold. I don't know that I need 2 of you here. So let's do this. Maybe I do actually. Maybe I do. what we're going to do is we're going to take the tank division back to the HQ. We're going to set them on reserve. There we go. I like that better. Okay. This is by far the weakest point in this line that we've surveyed, but there's not too much we can do about it. And then we get to the crux of the entire episode, the thing that is the most difficult for us to try to manage here. Smolensk. What do we want to do about Smolensk? Let's do a quick little recap of the battles, and boy, were there plenty of them. And I think this is important because what we saw last turn was they actually made a push to try to cut off Smolensk last turn. They weren't successful in the sense that they cut off Smolensk, but they did push us back out of 1 hex, and that's up here. Took them a total of 5 attempts, but in the end we just weren't able to hold them, and we lost 2,000 men in the final attack, which is really disappointing, considering the odds. I don't mean odds, but considering the number of men on both sides was pretty equal, but I think we just probably got worn down and we routed. So that was the 296 Rifle Division. We actually look real quick for where that went. They routed, so they'd be right here. So looking at it, I mean, they had a lot of action that they saw there. And you see fatigue sitting pretty high for a lot of these guys. Combat value is routed. 4 wins, 2 losses. Morale is 48. Yeah, it's no good. So we're gonna set them to a refit status. Gonna just, I think, toss them on their HQ for now. And what we need, actually, let me go back. Let's keep recapping some of the battles. So they pushed us out of this hex, and then they tried to get both of the hexes that are keeping Smolensk in supply here, right? And this had me really worried, because this, in 1 turn, we could have seen the entire tables flip here, where we had all of those units, all those men completely surrounded, and we would lose Smolensk. But we managed to hold against all those attacks. And on reflection, looking at the battle results, it really wasn't that close now that I look at them a little closer there. They also tried to free up this little pocket of men that they had. Just look at all these attacks they had, guys. It was crazy. They tried to free up the men that they currently have encircled. And when we look here, they didn't throw as much at the effort as I thought they would have. And they were very unsuccessful in their attempts. This was the closest they got, and they actually got us down to a fortification level of 1. Which now poses a very serious problem for us in the next set of attacks, because that really hampers our defensive value that we have. Over here, kind of a similar story, frankly. Sorry, I was on the wrong hex. 6 attacks here, because this was actually the point at which we did cut them off. So I had a total of 6 attacks, none of them with too high of casualties, it looks like. Yeah. So they didn't put as much into the effort as I thought they would have. Which is good news for us. Now, unfortunately, when we look a little bit more to the east here, we see they went full on. They broke through our lines, and really now we have a serious problem of, okay, how do we contain these units that are breaking through now? And here we managed to hold against both attacks. Here they attacked 8 times. They attacked 8 times. Just my luck. Look at that. The 210th Mechanized Division did such a fantastic job holding on to this hex for as long as they did. But finally it was just too much and they had to withdraw. Then we look over here and they kept going. They attacked the 210th again. And again, we weren't in a defensive position, so we had to fall back. Here they attacked the 210th, and there was also the 38th Tank Division and the 220th Mechanized, and all 3 ended up having to retreat. All throughout here, they just pressed so hard. And we really didn't press upon them too high of casualties in any area. We actually took most of the brunt of the action. another 5 attacks here. So I mean, it's not like they had one attack there, one attack here. Just all along the lines, they'd attacked 5, 6 times. And it just wore us down until they broke through. And not too much to say here, pretty much just that we didn't have enough defense to hold on to it. And once that first line falls too, we really didn't have enough men to have a layered defense, which then meant that as our boys fell back, they just kept getting pushed again and again because they didn't have any defensive position to get into. So now what I find myself in is this situation where we have, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. You could arguably say 12 hexes to defend, and I have maybe 8 units, and none of them have any fortification level. None. The one thing I do want to check out, though, is when we look at fuel. Yeah, okay, so at the very least, fuel is becoming a serious problem for them here. So at least there's that. That's like the small thing that is going to our benefit right now. But I think it's important for us to look at this, though, which is in between Smolensk and Bryansk, Oryol, is, do we want to withdraw from Smolensk? Because one of our options available to us is that we do just this large withdrawal here. We draw a new defensive line that stretches like this, right? If you can just follow my cursor here, kind of north of their pocket, and we try to get out as many of our men as we can to start building a defensive line here. And then these units can be used just to draw out here. Yeah, it's tough. The issue that I have is if we try to hold this, I need to find a way to, well, effectively I need to find a way to slow them down from just racing to Tula and coming up behind us and cutting off an even larger pocket that is Smolensk. Is the issue at hand. And add nothing to the fact that this helps them also take Oryol as they put this northern pressure on the Oryol defenses. We have these 3 units here that are about to be completely cut off. Right? That is just not a good situation. So this is not an easy thing to consider. Now I feel like being a little cheeky, going after this armor division and actually cutting off the Grossdeutschland Motorized Regiment, Das Reich SS Motorized Division, and the 10th Panzer, and trying to have them isolated behind enemy lines. I'm really tempted to do that, actually. The difficulty with that proposal is if I take that hex, I have nothing to defend it with. And even if I did have something to defend it with, there's no front line north of it, so I don't know exactly how I would make that work. But I really want to cut those guys off. That's very tempting to do. Because I feel like they've kind of overextended their supply train here. They really do. So let's go back and consider the Smolensk question. And I had been thinking about this a whole heck of a lot, guys. I think I'm going to try to hold the line. I really do. I think I'm going to try to hold this line. And to hold Smolensk even longer. Because I think what I can do is I have up here 4 rifle divisions. 4 rifle divisions. And what my plan is I'm going to take those rifle divisions and I'm going to bring them down here into this pocket. And I'm going to try to have them just start building a defensive line here that I'm also going to have these units all withdraw back to. And we're going to try to build out a defensive perimeter then that just really kind of says, okay, congratulations, you broke through our front line. Try to go another 20 miles without running out of gas. It is kind of the approach that I'm going to try to take here. And I'll end up creating a little bit of a bubble, and it's really going to put strain on us because I'm going to end up creating what will have, how do I explain this correctly? The length of my front line is going to be extended because I'm making a bubble instead of just a straight line. So I'm going to have more hexes to defend, which means I'll have fewer layers. but I'm hoping that that is a temporary thing and that I'm given a couple of turns to actually bring in more reinforcements as they find that they can't advance fast enough to break through. That's kind of what my thought is here. And what I'm going to do down here by Ariol is I'm going to do something similar where these guys, I'm just going to try to get them out and just going to try to build, again, this defensive bubble that says, all right, congrats, you broke through that. Now try to catch us. And I think that's going to be the game plan. The thing that makes me nervous is, like, we can look here at the Smolensk pocket and say, oh, look, I can see Moscow now. So that's a little scary. But there's still quite a bit of defensible terrain between us and Moscow, is the one thing that I'd say. Let's do a bit of a sanity check, too, and look at some of these dates. So if we look at it, the Axis took this in October. This hex, so that was a month from now. October. Pretty much all of this they took 1 month from now. So if I can hold them here for another 2 or 3 weeks, that's pretty much on schedule, I'd say. Right? Because next turn they're not going to get all the way up into these hexes, especially if I bring down those rifle divisions. Which I think then affords me the chance to say, okay, we can hold for a week or two, puts us to the middle of September, and then we're only, worst case, 2 weeks behind in our defensive line, which I can work with. I can work with that. Let's do that, I think. Because we look over here, right? Because by the same token, we're doing really good over here, right? They took this turn, or they historically did. They took all of this stuff was lost to the Germans in July, and we're now going into September, historically. So on this side of the Smolensk front, we're doing a really good job of holding this territory. Same thing a little bit further north. So I think what we're going to do is we're going to play a little aggressive. We're going to say, okay, we've had enough of you beating up on us. We're going to take these units that we have isolated here, and we're going to beat up on them a little bit. Because you know what? You've given us a chance to do that now. So let's have some fun and let's actually attack some stuff now. So what I'm going to do is take these 3 units and we're going to attack this infantry division. Oh, tank division was committed. Okay, they still retreated though. Then I think we move these guys forward. Now we take these 3 and we attack. Well, they held. Okay, very well. But could they hold up against this guy? Is the question. They cannot. There we go. Perfect. So now we've collapsed them a little bit more. I'm debating if we want to attack the 20th Panzer here, or the 19th Panzer. It's like we could take that tank division, bring it up. That gives us 6 versus their 3. That's tempting. We're going to do it. We are going to do it. Enough is enough. We're going to attack. They held, but they lost 21 armor. Okay. Okay. Now I think the other thing we have to look at is how can we try to reinforce these defensive hexes here? That is the question. It's like here we have a unit that's unready. I'm going to move them over here. Okay. Then what's the weakest unit we have here? We're really... The 119th and the 107th are kind of tied for weakest here. So let's bring you over there. What's the strongest unit we have here? It'll be the 255th Rifle Division. I'm going to move them left, so that gets us up to 12 here. And then what's the strongest we have here? Well, really, we could take both of these guys now. Yeah, let's do that. So we're going to take out the tank division. We're going to take our 2 rifle divisions. We're going to have them move in here. That did not work how I wanted. That gets us only to 3? Really? Ooh. That's not good. Oh, I bet it's a lot to do with the fatigue, too. Yeah. Yeah, okay. Nope, that was a very bad move on my part. That was bad. So what we need to do, I think, is set you to reserve. You to reserve. I don't know how much these guys are going to be able to do, but we're going to set them all to reserve. Because that's going to be our best hope at defending that. But they're probably going to break through. If we're being honest with ourselves, they're going to break through there. Which is really unfortunate. I can set them to refit. Now over here, I'm going to take this unit. And I kind of want to pull them down here. Take you off refit status. Okay, let's have you both on reserve. Take you off. No, I can't. What I can do, I can move you south. I can move you back 1. There we go. Let's do that. Okay. I have another option here too, right? Is do I maybe take a rifle division out of Smolensk? Right now we're at 130. One of the rifle divisions withdraws in 2 turns anyways. So do I maybe have an opportunity to reinforce one of these hexes, right? To bring back someone from Smolensk. I think I do. I'm going to take you up here. And the unit that's going to withdraw anyways in 2 turns, we're going to move back 1. So that still gives us 84 defensive value in Smolensk, which, in a way, I almost want to tempt them to attack Smolensk instead of trying to flank us. I kind of want it to be right on the border, right, where it's an enticing target that they want to try to take, but they're just not quite able to. I also desperately need to change you to not be assigned to the Western Front, because that's ridiculous. You're part of the 24th Army now. Okay. And now I need to start looking at, okay, building this new kind of bubble that I'm going to use as my defensive perimeter. What I'm going to do here is take these HQ units up. One of you has units way over here, so we can just assign you there. There we go. That's fine. So I think what I'm going to do is this. I'm going to take you back here. I'm going to put you there. You guys start coming south. There we go. So I think it's going to be more pressure on this side as they try to encircle Smolensk, not that they're going to do a push towards Tula. I could be way wrong about that, but it's just my gut feel for the situation. So what I'm going to do now is start retreating these guys back here. Yeah, and we're going to start pulling all these guys back here. How are some of you so horribly mismanaged? What have I been doing? So you're going to come over here. No. You're going to stick over here. This is just all bad. I need to assign all these guys to new armies. You're going to go to the 32nd Army. Same with you. Where else did I have them? They're all over here. 32nd Army again, I think. Yeah. One more. Okay. Oh, geez, there's another still. You were going to put in the 24th Army. Okay. And what I'm also going to do is I'm going to set a couple of these guys to reserve. Because they're within range to help with some of this stuff. And I need to assign them to armies, which is fair enough. So let's see. Let's put them in the 54th Army. All of these new ones we just had come in are going to go to the 54th Army. This is how you build an army, kids. You just click a few times on a graphic user interface. 54th Army. There we go. You need to go to refit status, my goodness. Who else do we have? Oh boy. What a mess. What a mess. We can bring this HQ unit back. Yeah, okay. Now what I have to do is try to rescue these guys now. So, you know, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to set you to ready. I'm going to attack this Panzer Division. And that didn't work. So now we're just going to retreat. I'm going to retreat with you too. I'm going to take you off refit because you look like you're just fine. Then you go there. Okay. Good. Good, good, good. You are horrible condition. So we're going to have you come up here. What we're going to do is take you back here. We're going to start trying to build a defensive line here. Try to, at least. Take you off refit. Looks like I can. Honestly, I think I want to move them forward here. I'm going to move them up here. You still need to be on refit, you do. But you, good to go. I'm going to throw you right back into the... So let's take you here. That rifle division looks like you're fine. Let's take them up here. You look not good. Okay, fine. This rifle division. Take forward here. Okay. Building this all out. This is working. I don't know that I need to hold this hex anymore. I think what I would rather do is take this rifle division back here. What we're going to do is we're going to take the ones that are on refit status, move them north. We'll do the airborne unit, I think. Start building out that line. But then we're going to take this full strength rifle division back here. So that gives us 7. I want to do a second. I want to bring them down here, I think. Yeah, so we're going to set 2 of you to ready. One of you is going to go on reserve back 1 hex. You're going to come down here. Alright, 7-5, good. Good. You can hold here. This is the area now, though, where we're vulnerable. I missed that. Shoot. What do I have back here? And take this rifle division. They're now good to go. I'm gonna move them up. That gets us to 12. Okay, that works. This is how you build an escape of potentially encircled units, right? We now have a strong defensive line that they have to try to break through in at least 1 spot, maybe 2, to even have a chance of encircling us. And if they do that, it then distracts them while we try to build out this new defensive perimeter. If they go full speed, I mean, this is an if, right? If they go full speed from this hex right here straight towards Tula, they're going to waste movement points to go 4 hexes and then to attack a unit that, even though they will win, it is going to slow them down because of zone of control, and it will make them suffer fatigue and loss of combat prep points as they try to go through. That's the strategy here, to just try to buy us another turn or 2. Then we can keep trying to bring in reinforcement rifle divisions like this, bring them into places like Tula, and start to just reinforce this pocket. And if this hex right here holds next turn, if it does, we have achieved a major victory. But this hex and the mistake that I made here is really what everything's going to come down to. But if we can hold that hex, my gosh, all of these units we might get next turn, because they'll suffer another turn of getting no supply. That's my hope. I think I might take you. I really wish I had enough movement points to move you there. I think I might move you up here. Just worry a little bit about them trying to break through here. You're an unready status, that's not good. Yeah, okay. You could come around. That tank division can. Let's do that. Okay. And they're on refit, but gosh darn it, I'm going to move them up there. Okay. This is going to be very interesting next turn. I'm very nervous about it. But I think we have a plan. We have taken a complex situation, and I think we have created a plan. Its merits and strengths are yet to be seen in battle, but we have a plan. And we'll see what happens. Yeah. Can you make it up there? I think I might rather have you up there. Yeah, I'm going to take you up there. We're going to take you off refit too, because that doesn't make any sense. Let's assign you the 13th Army. You should also be part of the 13th Army, or something similar. Let's do 13th Army, we'll keep these guys all together. Same thing here, 13th Army. Good. Here. Right, 13th Army is now full. It's very representative, though, of this part of the defensive front. Good stuff. Guys, I'm sorry this episode's probably going to hit you guys a little later than usual. Labor Day weekend's been a little busy, but hope you enjoy the content as always. Thank you so much for your support of the channel and of this fantastic game. If you got any questions, comments, or just general feedback, please leave them in the comments section below. I have let that get away from me for far too long, so I'm going to make an effort to get back to you guys on there this weekend. And yeah, as always, Strategy Gamers, hoping you have yourselves an excellent day. Bye now.